This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in review, and what I'm looking at today is Blood Red Sky, directed by Peter Thorvald, and I'm apologizing if I butchered that. In any case, Netflix is kind of on a roll lately. You have the Fear Street trilogy, which weren't great, but they were good. It was enjoyable. Then you have a classic horror story, which was really good. And now you have Blood Red Sky, which is pretty damn good too. It's a very different movie than a classic horror story, but it's what I like to see, which is namely consistently well done, well executed horror. And this movie, as I said, is pretty damn good. It reminds me of, if you were to take Gloria, the Jenna Rollins movie, cross that with 30 Days of Night. It revolves around this woman. I should mention that a lot of the actors in Blood Red Sky are European, which is to say, I don't recognize them. In fact, the only person in the cast I recognize at all is Dominic Purcell, who I believe is Australian. In any case, the movie revolves around this woman and her son who are going to New York for unexplained reasons. And their plane is hijacked. The movie, for its 2 hours running time, gives a very good amount of room for why this woman is doing what she's doing. She's a pivotal character, and she is great. In fact, she reminds me of Rumi Rapace, at least visually. So, as I was saying, her and her son are going to New York. You don't know why initially, though you know that there is something wrong with her and that she's going for medical reasons. As I said, the plane is eventually hijacked, and we come to learn that this woman is suffering from something that looks awfully like vampirism. In fact, this movie plays like an alternate take on Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Dixon's The Strain, with the idea of there's this plane and there's all kinds of really odd things happening aboard it. And if it lands, things will be very bad for humanity. Now, in The Strain, the plane did land and its cargo escaped, for lack of a better word. In Blood Red Sky, it doesn't quite work like that. It's such a well-shot, well-done movie that its similarities to other movies notwithstanding, you're going to really like this. And what makes it work so well, I think, is the bond between the mother and her son. Now, I've said it before, and I stick by it. I don't tend to like children in movies. They're oftentimes depicted in ways that aren't like children. That's not the case with Blood Red Sky, but the kid is fucking irritating. Well, that's not fair. There are moments, I should say, he's fucking irritating when he doesn't listen. Now, him not listening forwards the plot, but it's irritating to watch. It doesn't happen a lot, thank God, but it happens enough. For me, once or twice is enough. I find production design very interesting, which is essentially the way physical props look. Could be a living room, it could be a spaceship. Production design goes a long way towards enhancing or degrading a movie. And in this movie, the production design is high. Except for one thing. I was noticing that the cabin of the airplane looks very good. It looks like an actual plane. And while I haven't been on one in a few years, it looks a lot roomier than I recall a plane cabin being. Then again, I didn't fly first class either. So, I don't know, I could be wrong on that. Though what I'm pretty sure about was the cockpit. The cockpit was simplified. Most images I've seen of airplane cockpits have a lot of gauges and screens. It's a lot of clutter. It makes sense to the people who have to use it, the pilots. But to anyone just seeing it, it's just button, switch, screen overkill. And this cockpit was inordinately clean, which I get the feeling the production designer and the director just decided to simplify that cockpit. And that's okay, though it's a little thing that distracted somewhat. Though, on the whole, that's a pretty minor quibble. Blood Red Sky is effective, it's harrowing, it's touching at times, particularly the relationship between the mother and son, but the way other characters respond as well. It's funny in a dark fashion, and I think it's something you really enjoy. I mentioned earlier that it's a cross between quite a few movies, and one of them I mentioned was 30 Days of Night. And it's refreshing to see a primal, a vicious, a very nasty looking vampire, or vampires I should say. That is a nice thing to see, because in my mind, the twilightization, if you will, of vampires is a terrible thing. And I like the impression of them being animalistic, being essentially like two-legged rats moving about, doing their thing stealthily and silently. It's a great movie if you like vampires in the near dark, in the 30 Days of Night, in the Salem's Lot fashion. You're going to love Blood Red Sky. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com in review. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or a follow. Peace.